Your testimony, Mr. Alvarez, is that let me put this down real quick. Your testimony is that after you hung up from the 911 call, Fahim Muhammad came into the room.
That is correct, sir.
Did he come in while you're on the phone, or did he come in right afterwards?
I believe it was after the phone call, sir.
But almost immediately after.
Yes, sir.
And you walked over to Fahim Muhammad, right?
Yes, sir. I met him halfway. He's coming in.
And you
Him
had a
coming
brief conversation with him.
Just a few words, sir, yes.
And at some point then you went over to help Dr. Murray perform CPR.
That is correct, sir.
This, I believe you testified, you compressed the chest while Dr. Murray did mouth-to-mouth.
That is correct, sir.
And during that entire period of time, you were compressing the chest. Is that right?
Yes, sir. For a few moments I did. Yes, sir.
Well, didn't you continue to perform CPR until the paramedics came?
If I recall correctly, yes.
Well, do you recall that?
Yes, I recall it.
You certainly wanted to make sure that you did everything possible to help Mr. Jackson.
That is correct, sir.
And if that meant you helping do CPR, that's certainly something you were willing to do.
Yes.
And that's exactly what you did.
That's correct, sir.
So during that period of time that you were performing CPR, you would agree with me that you were busy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you performed CPR for about 2 minutes?
I don't know the time, sir. But
Was it strenuous CPR?
no, sir. I was, just doing regular chest compressions, sir.
During that entire period of time, you never touched any vials or bags or did anything other than CPR?
No, sir.
Double negative?
So we can safely say that during that period of time you were performing CPR, you put away no vials?
No, sir.
We're getting to double negative.
Did you put away any vials during that time frame?
Objection A gets to put away.
Overruled.
I did not.
Thanks. We just need to avoid double negatives. Thank you.
And prior to performing CPR, I believe your testimony is you were on the phone to 911.
Correct, sir.
And during that period of time you were talking to 911, your focus was on making sure you could get aid to Mr. Jackson.
That is correct, sir.
And certainly during that period of time, you would agree with me that to the 911 operator.
That is correct, sir.
You weren't touching vials
No.
or IV bags during that time.
Not at all, sir.
Weren't putting anything away.
No, sir.
Now we see on your phone records that you made this phone call to 911 at 12:20 p.m.
That's correct.
I thought the idea was to keep it just where it was.
Well, they have to see this as well. The jury has to see the
Oh, I see.
so I figured it's good.
Well, one's a little higher than the other, but that's fine. Go ahead. Sure.
911 phone call 12:20
Your Honor,
p.m.
we're required by committee to give it.
If you want to scoot over, Mr. Welgan and/or Ms. Brazil.
It's okay to put over the corner.
Sure. You want this marked as defendant's G as in golf, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Judge.
It's marked right now, G.
All right. It's titled Timeline. It's marked as Defense Exhibit G, Judge.
Thank you.
All right. Now back to your phone records, we see that when Michael Lemire Williams first called you, he called you at 12:17 p.m. Is that right? And he left a voicemail.
No, sir, I don't believe so. I believe it just went to voicemail. But there was no voicemail.
No voicemail.
No, sir.
And then Michael Amir Williams calls you again at 12:17,
Correct.
same time. He leaves a voicemail,
No, sir.
but you call him back right away.
That is correct.
And you call him and you have a 6-second phone call to Michael Amir Williams,
Correct.
and you don't get him.
No, it went straight to voicemail.
And then you called him again,
Correct.
but you don't get him.
No, sir.
It goes to voicemail again.
That is correct.
And both of these calls took place at 12:18 p.m. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So the first call was 6 seconds long, and the second call was 5 seconds long.
Correct.
Okay. Then at 12:18, you call him again.
Correct.
Is that right? And this phone call lasts 88 seconds. So you would agree with me that 88 seconds is 1 minute and 28 seconds.
Correct.
So assuming that you got hold of Michael Amir immediately after 11 seconds had transpired, you would agree that somehow you got hold of Michael Amir somewhere at 12:19.
Yes. Oh, it says 12:18.
Well, you spoke for 88 seconds. You hung up with him after 88 seconds. Is that right?
Okay. Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Your testimony is that you were speaking to Michael Amir.
Yep.
You went out in front of the house, still on the phone to Michael Amir, right?
Yes.
You went to the front door, still talking to Michael Amir.
Correct.
You went up the stairs, still talking to Michael Amir.
That's correct.
And then when you were on the landing and Dr. Murray said something to you, you hung up with Michael Amir.
That is correct, sir.
And that took 88 seconds.
That's what it says, yes.
When you received the phone call from Michael Amir, you had been hanging out at the trailer for about 2 hours. Is that right?
Approximately, yes.
And you weren't doing anything particularly stressful, were you?
No, sir.
In fact, you were checking emails,
I was on the computer.
browsing the internet maybe?
I believe so.
And when the call came in, or you finally spoke to him, you were, would it be fair to say that it was alarming, the phone call?
It sounded serious, so yes, my senses were up.
Well, what did he say to you exactly?
He said, first thing he says, Alberto, where are you at? And I said, I'm at the house. I'm at the property. And he says, okay, get up. Don't make too much of a distraction, or don't make don't make any sudden moves where you were going to alarm anybody into that regard, sir.
Did he tell you there was something wrong with Mr. Jackson?
No, sir. All he said was go to the front of the house.
And going to the front of the house, as you already identified, is not a usual occurrence.
Well, I mean, when we're asked to go in through the front of the house, then we would go in through the front of the house. But it's not unusual.
You pointed out that when you're dropping Mr. Jackson off,
Correct.
you take his stuff in.
Right.
It's after the rehearsal.
Correct.
But you going through the front of the door, generally speaking, is an unusual occurrence.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it unusual. It's just not it didn't happen all the time.
Let's take a look at Exhibit 6, People Exhibit 6. You've already pointed out the security trailer's right here. Is that
Correct.
right?
Yes, sir.
Pointing to that white box that you've already identified for the record.
Yes.
And next to the security trailer, there's a little tower, there's a door right next to the security trailer that's attached to that tower. Is that right?
Correct.
It goes to the kitchen.
Mhm.
If you need to use the restroom, you go through the kitchen.
That is correct, sir.
But he asked you to go to the front.
That is correct, sir.
And then at some point, he asked you to jog.
I'm sorry?
He asked you to jog. He asked you to run.
Oh, yes, he told me to speed up, yes.
Did that alarm you?
Well, I was already, I just, proceeded to speed up.
And you go from sitting in the trailer, browsing the internet, right?
Yes.
Nothing's happening.
Correct.
You had no concern that anything was happening inside the house,
That's correct, sir.
to go to the front door, start jogging to the front door, get in there.
Correct.
Your tension was heightened.
That is correct, sir.
So you get to the front door, and you're instructed to go upstairs. Is that right?
At this particular moment, no, until I said, the front door is locked. And then once the nanny approached and opened the door, I told Michael Muir, okay, I'm inside the house. Then he instructed me to go upstairs.
And you did.
I did.
And that's unusual, too.
That was unusual, yes.
And in fact, you said you've been upstairs twice.
Correct.
Both times was merely to help bring the hairdresser up.
That is correct, sir.
So this is unusual. Did you think at this time that maybe there was something wrong with Mr. Jackson?
Yes, I knew something was wrong. I didn't know it was with Mr. Jackson.
And you are Mr. Jackson's security.
That's correct.
You're his security, his safety. That's paramount. That's your responsibility, right?
That's correct.
You were concerned.
I was concerned, yes.
You get up to the landing. You see Dr. Murray walking through the foyer,
Yes.
to the foyer, and then you hang up the phone with Michael Amir when he says something.
Correct, sir.
All right. So let's go over all the things that you did
Yes.
prior to calling 911.
Okay.
You walked through the foyer.
Yes.
You walked from the landing to the foyer
Yes.
into the bedroom.
Correct.
All right? And as you walked into the bedroom, there was a scene that opened up to you that was shocking.
Correct, sir.
And in fact, you were stunned.
I was shocked, yes.
Yeah. You saw Michael Jackson lying there with his mouth open, with his eyes open, right?
Correct.
And at that period of time, you were frozen.
I was, I don't recall if I was frozen at that time, but I know it was shocking to see the situation.
You were in shock then.
Yes, it was stunning, yes.
And you looked around the room.
Not at that particular time, sir.
Well, you looked at Mr. Jackson,
Correct.
and that put you in shock.
Yes.
And then you said to Dr. Murray, what happened?
No, sir.
No. Dr. Murray said to you, the very first thing he said to you when you went into that room,
Correct.
we need an ambulance. We need to get to the hospital.
We need to get him to the hospital. We need an ambulance. Yes.
And you knew what he meant by that.
I knew what he meant.
And you reached down for your phone.
Correct. No, sir.
You reached down for your phone. Where was your phone?
In my pocket, sir.
And you took out your phone.
I did not take out my phone, sir.
Did you touch your phone?
I was reaching into my pocket, sir.
When you first entered the door and you surveyed the area, you were at the door exactly. Is that right?
A little further in.
So a few steps inside.
Yes, sir.
you were going to call 911. Right?
Yes, sir.
And you were interrupted at that point by the children.
Correct.
And you explained how that was. It was both Paris and Prince, wasn't it?
That is correct, sir.
And Paris.
Yes.
And Dr. Murray said, don't let them see their father like this.
Yes.
Get him out.
Get them out. Yes.
But you would have done that on your own, right?
No, sir. I mean, I was just in the moment, and I didn't think about ushering them out. I was thinking about the situation, sir.
Well, I mean, you didn't want them to see their father that way either, right?
Well, sir, I was concerned about Mr. Jackson at that time, sir.
Okay. But you escorted him out.
Yes, I did.
You escorted him out the door of the bedroom, right?
Correct.
Through the foyer,
Correct.
through the landing.
No, sir. I stopped at the door.
Do you recall telling this whole, or testifying at the preliminary hearing?
I recall, yes.
And you heard it testifying today, you reviewed your testimony at the preliminary hearing, haven't you?
I'm sorry, sir?
You have reviewed your testimony from the preliminary hearing, haven't you?
I have.
When's the last time you reviewed it?
A couple of weeks ago.
You recall stating at the preliminary hearing you walked them to the landing?
I recall saying that I walked them outside the room, sir.
Well, Paris was upset,
Yes.
right? You didn't push the kids out, did
Of course not.
You escorted them.
They followed my instructions when I said, please, children, go outside. We'll take care of the situation. Everything's going to be okay.
So you talked to the children.
Correct.
You comforted them.
I said those words, yes.
You said, please, don't worry, we'll take care of it.
Yes.
You didn't yell at them, right?
Not at all.
Right?
No, sir.
You comforted them. Did you look at them in the eyes when you said that?
I don't recall. I remember looking at both of them.
Then after comforting the children, you went back then into the room.
Correct, sir.
And your testimony today is you did not go outside the foyer?
That is correct, sir.
So you went back through the foyer
That is correct.
into the bedroom.
Yes, sir.
When you come into the room that second time, you close the door, leaving the door slightly. So you walked back into the room
Yes.
and slightly closed the door.
Correct. Well, if I may, sir, I didn't walk back into the room. Like I said, I stopped at the door.
Walked inside the door?
No, sir. I
Right
said I
outside
stopped
the
at the door and I just retracted a little bit and ajarred the door.
Walked to door, is that fair?
Correct. Yes.
Close the door. And this second time that you came into the room, you were...
I'm sorry to
I'm sorry.
interrupt, Your Honor. Could we have I don't believe the witness can see what's being drawn on this board.
You want to see?
Sure.
Well, the statements of the witness are what's evidence, not what counsel may write.
Well, then I'd have to ask the counsel's testifying if it's not going to be presented to the witness.
Well, we're not going to have testimony, and apparently some of the jurors can't see. Now it's turned away. That's the whole issue with the placement of the exhibit. So I'm overruling the objection, but we're going to do it the right way.
Can I put it here?
Well, I don't know if that makes a difference to the jurors either, because the writing is small.
I can't see.
Juror 7 is saying she can't see, and I can understand that. Well, I think it's a problem for the other jurors and the alternates.
Well, I've got a lot to write down, so I got to write that.
Well,
Size.
maybe it's better to use an overhead.
Okay.
I think
Well,
that's why we have
then-
these contraptions.
Well, if we're going to use the overhead, then I guess we need to start over here. We need to rewrite this.